6:30.
Yep.
My friend.
Good evening and welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting Monday, March 21st, 2022, the Warcoit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Mass. Broadcast live on local cable channel 18, stream live on the Town of Mashpee website, www.mashpeema.gov/channel18. It is 6:30 and we convene in open session. We'll start off with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and I'd like a moment of silence for peace for this world. Thank you. Approval of the following: Monday, February 28th, 2022, regular session. Monday, March 7th, 2022, regular session.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Appointments and hearings. Public comment? None. Discussion and clarification and confirmation of the hiring of the fire chief. Jack Phelan.
Madam Chair, my recommendation for the certification of the process as well as the confirmation of the appointment is Deputy Chief Phelan. He obviously has an extended level of service with the town, and he has served in various roles, and he was a leading candidate that applied for the job when it was internally posted, and I have no reservations in recommending him for the job as fire chief on something that's just totally unrelated. He is not going to be able to serve as a member of the planning board any longer as a result of this appointment, should you confirm it, because it is prohibited by charter. And he is aware of that, and I have told him.
Okay.
I think he's more interested in
The
the
fire chief's job. I do too. And he's a good man.
But I respectfully request that the board certify, but you also, because it's a department head, you must confirm, so that's your vote.
So we certify and confirm. Do I
That's
have a
what I
motion?
would be entertaining a
I
motion
make a
for.
motion, we certify the hiring process and confirm the hiring of Jack Phelan as fire chief. It's a great choice.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Very good.
And I will be negotiating a personal service contract with no evergreen clause, and I will be coming back to the board in executive session.
Okay. Discussion and approval. Discussion and approval of the following special events and temporary sign permits. Heroes in Transition, the Rock 4 hit, pass-through, April 29th, April 30th, 2022, 4:30 to 7 a.m. and 11 to 1:30 p.m. Nicole, is Nicole in?
She's not here.
She's not here.
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
since I am doing
The Rock Race?
the ruck race,
You're
I
hoping
asked-
to do the
I
record.
let her know.
He's hoping.
I'd be happy to represent if anybody has any questions, but obviously it's to support Heroes in Transition. It's 220 miles with a 20-pound rucksack. And it's a team run, if you will.
Relay.
Over 36 hours, starting in Katomet and ending in Mashpee Commons. So, looking forward to it. It's going to be interesting.
You've done it before.
Yes, about 5 times.
Yeah.
If anybody has any questions.
Okay, do I have a motion for Heroes in Transition Ruck Race?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Santuit Pond Bass Fishing Tournament, May 21st, 2022, 6 a.m. to 2. Cabin Fever Bass Club, Brian LeBurn.
Madam Chair, there is a letter from the DNR in your, the stuff I
have it
put
right
out,
here.
and they are not recommending approval.
Okay.
Parking?
No,
It's
the condition of the
The condition
pond.
of the pond.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's good. then.
Ugh.
So we will, do I have a motion not to recommend?
It's unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll make a motion, we decline the requested approval.
I'll second that.
And if you could just, we'll send a letter.
A letter.
Your request explaining why.
Why
Because
the-
I don't want them to just think that you
That
just
we-
said no.
Sure. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Discussion and approval of the following. Resignation, Planning and Construction Committee, Stephen Cook, architectural term, expires June 30th, 2024.
Make a motion, we accept Mr. Cook's resignation with a letter of appreciation for his prior service.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
He's been on that a long time, too.
Yes.
So if we could send a letter. Thank you. Appointments. Mashpee Inclusion and Diversity Committee, Rachel Hicks, member at large, term expires June 30th, 2022.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Americans with Disability Act Committee, Colleen Meehan and Merrill Bloom, term expires June 30th, 2022. I know Merrill's in the audience,
So moved.
so move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Mashpee Election Wardens, George Smith, Meredith Kilpatrick, Andrew Varles, term expires March 31st, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Discussion and approval amendment of the Board of Selectmen policy, number 50, discriminatory harassment.
Madam Chair, if I could.
Please.
This policy was a recommended revision. I think you have a memo from the HR director. But the attorney that advised us to update this is known throughout the Commonwealth for her expertise in this area. In fact, we're doing a professional development session the first Wednesday in April on this. And these are revisions or amendments that she recommended, so that is why we're recommending them to the board. So this has been subjected to a very thorough professional review, and it's just to get updated with best practices.
Okay. Everybody look it over? Any questions?
No.
Do I have a motion?
Yes.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay. 6:35, public hearing, 2022 Shellfish regulations. Andrew, would you open that?
Pursuant to Chapter 145 Shellfish, Section 145-1 of the general bylaws of the town of Mashpee and Mass General Laws, Chapter 130, Section 52, the Board of Selectmen will conduct a public hearing on the proposed town of Mashpee shellfish regulations as submitted by the Department of Natural Resources. Said hearing will be held on Monday, March 21st, 2022, 6:35 in the Coit Meeting Room, Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road, North Mashpee, Mass. Copies of the proposed regulations are available at the Office of Town Manager, Mashpee Town Hall. Comments may be submitted via email to bos@mashpeemass.gov prior to the meeting.
Thank you, Andrew.
I don't know if there's anybody here for comments before I get into what I would like to say.
Okay.
So, anyway,
We do have
You wanted to talk to him?
why don't you make the
Peter, did you
announcement?
want to talk to this subject?
the only thing that I would like to advise the board of is, there was some discussions with myself and a tribal leader. We were literally up to crunch time just before the posting of this, And we made some discussions, or I should say some headway relative to some minor changes, or what I felt were minor changes. And then we went back and forth with town council, or I did, I should say. And so there were a couple different inserts or additions that I was going to recommend. And to be quite frank, we just ran out of time. And then, of course, we had to get this thing posted because of the deadline. I think if we'd had a little bit more time, I think it would have been ironed out. But at any rate, I think maybe, not to jump ahead, but one of the things that might be suggested is, and I do have a date under town manager updates for a potential joint meeting between the board, the select board, and the tribal council. Maybe that would be a good time for the possibility of this to be continued. But we'd have to continue the public hearing, and I don't want to cut anybody off that is here tonight for the public hearing.
That's fair.
Why don't you speak?
I would support that, reading over. I think I've heard from some tribal members that there are some issues. I think the joint meeting would be a good place to kind of hash out some of that and come to a common agreement. And so I would support that, yes.
Is that fair?
So, Madam Chair, I'm just curious, does it make sense? I'm all in favor of the continuance, but while there are people here,
Yeah.
Right.
would it make sense to
I
let
think the
them?
chair of the Conservation
They
Commission.
can't make the,
Exactly.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Peter Thomas, I'm the chairman of the Shellfish Commission. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'll be very honest with you, I sit here very disappointed that this thing has all of a sudden been delayed. For whatever reason, the rules and regulations have needed work for several years now. When Ashley was the Shellfish warden, we started, and then we were hit with COVID. We spent the better part of 2 years working on this, battling through the Zoom calls, having meetings where we physically send emails and draft regulations to all our aquaculture members, our commercial members, and we have recreational members that are representing on the Shellfish Commission. We did this months in advance, showing the people what's coming up in the rules and regulations. We want your participation. We have participation at our meetings. We are not hiding anything. We want to have the best program on Cape Cod. Having said all that, we have a tribe liaison that attends all of our meetings. I've been the chairman of the Shellfish for quite a while now. Worked with Marcus Hendricks, who was great. Corey Hendricks was great. We now have Buddy Pocknett. The whole purpose of having a tribe member there is the spirit of communication and cooperation. And I apologize for having my back to some of the tribe members. I was born and raised here. I respect anything and everything about you and your rights. No one's here to question that. But what I find disheartening is we've come down this road with liaisons, exchanging information, and we find out at the 11th hour that there's a problem. I'm the chairman of the Shellfish Commission. I have no idea what anybody's talking about. I haven't seen any language. Nobody has reached out to me. And you know what? We're not paid. We're volunteers like a lot of people. We've put a lot of time into this. We want to work with the tribe. If there needs to be language in there, that's the purpose of our meetings, our workshops. Now, again, I call it disrespectful when we have a committee in place and someone does an end around to the town manager and the Shellfish Commission knows nothing about it. Now, apparently, there's going to be a joint meeting and they're going to work out the language. I support that. I'm not against it. It's just how it happened, okay? It's disrespectful to the process and the hundreds of volunteers in this town and the countless hours that the staff put in. We're behind on our rules and regs. The town has been so great to the Shellfish program, better than most towns on the Cape. We appreciate the monies you give us, the generosity, the capital improvement stuff, the increasing in staff. There's a lot going on. So I speak more out of frustration. This did not have to happen. The avenues are there. And I would say moving forward, those avenues will continue to be there. We want to work with you, but we need to talk. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank
Madam
you.
Chair, if I may. I would just add that, you know, To my knowledge, Buddy Potnett is a member of the commission, I believe.
He's a liaison, yes. He's not an appointed member. He's a liaison representing the tribe at our meeting.
Oh, I was unaware of that. He's still one individual. I think having a back and forth and providing documents ahead of time and opportunities. So the tribe, on the tribe side, they do have a natural resource commission. They have a natural resource department, and interacting with those different entities, I think, would be a best practice to have continued conversations and providing materials and having dialogue directly with those entities. As much as, all respect to Buddy and the work that he does, and he's very knowledgeable. He's still one individual. I think, when we represent our respective bodies, that it's good to get a collective input. And I appreciate your frustration and, wish we weren't here with that kind of frustration going into this. But we have some other things before us in consideration of the town meeting and warrant articles and things. And, the tribe's looking to, ensure that the tribe's Aboriginal rights are respected, and even, having a more equitable efforts made by the town to respect those rights and things. And part of that is written into, codified through some of the bylaws and things. Those are equitable improvements, more so than a land acknowledgement statement. I'll leave it at that.
I understand all that, and I respect that, and if that's how you would like to conduct business in the future, that's fine. I know that the Natural Resources and the Shellfish Warden communicate on a fairly regular basis when they have issues with the tribe. I know it works fairly well. With all due respect, I represent thousands of license holders in the town, but I'm able to represent them and carry my voice back to them and bring their concerns back here, just like the tribe. And I want to keep it moving forward. Whatever you guys want to make for recommendations so we can button this up and move forward and respect everything that you guys have earned and you deserve. Okay, we'll continue to support that at our meetings. It's talked about at every meeting that I run. So we want to continue that relationship. It's time to maybe get our houses in a little bit better order and communicate a little bit better. That's all I'm suggesting, so we get it done.
Why don't we suggest to continue the public hearing until the next meeting we have?
And I just want to add, I have the utmost respect for you personally, Peter, and I know all the volunteer work that you do, and I just want you to know that you would have gotten a call from me. The only problem is, over the 2 days that I had to kind of try to button this up, I didn't know how many changes there were going to be to the language, and I'm certainly not blaming the tribe on that. I'm just simply saying, sometimes when you're mediating something and you're trying to say, okay, I'm going to listen to this, I'm going to listen to that, sometimes everybody hates the referee. And, you're trying to move
Like you, I
things
did it
along.
for 35 years, sir, I know.
So, but I want you to know that there was no disrespect intended to you, because I have the utmost respect for you. But I also respected the individual who called me.
Yep.
And I was just trying to
Understood.
referee the situation. And sometimes there's no easy answer, no matter what is done. But I don't want you to think
I
anything.
appreciate your comments, and there's no need to apologize.
Yes, there was nothing intended at you.
I didn't take it that way, I just, spirit of cooperation. Let's keep
Yep.
talking, let's move forward.
And we're going to keep moving forward.
Okay.
And, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, just one other comment. Again, Peter, truly appreciate, all your efforts and work in the town, on the work in the town behalf. Also, just this meeting that we have planned to meet with the tribe was already in the works. So it's not like we're just meeting with the tribe to discuss this, but this became perfect timing. We were just waiting for so it's not like we're just scheduling just to talk about this. The meeting was, we just didn't
Again,
have
I
a date.
apologize, when you find out things last minute, you make
Yeah.
assumptions and you
Oh, I
just, and
know.
I,
Yes.
That's
again,
all.
we're good,
Just-
I'm good.
Thanks
Understood.
again for your work.
All right, I'm
Thank
good.
you,
Thank
Peter,
you.
for.
Thank you for your volunteerism.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Pete, thank you.
Did anybody else want to speak?
Good Good evening, everybody.
Aye.
Carlton Hendricks, Vice Chairman of the Mashpee Wampanoag Tribe. I was the one that called the town manager, expressing the language that wasn't in this document that really acknowledged our Aboriginal rights. Pretty much the only thing we really have in common as far as this document is contaminated waters. That's what we both agree on. We all agree that we will not do that. I spoke to Donovan at the last hearing that this came about, and spoke to Donovan, gave him my card. No disrespect to anybody that volunteers on committee, it's greatly appreciated. And Buddy is, as David Whedon said, he's just one person that doesn't speak for the entire tribe, nor its elected officials. I respect everything Buddy does in the water, but I gave Donovan my card. He expressed to me that this wasn't, the town acknowledges our Aboriginal rights. It's not reflected in the document. So that's what's important to us when we're all gone. What are we going to be left with in writing that reflects that you acknowledge our Aboriginal rights? And this document doesn't do that. So we feel it's an easy fix. It's nothing that needs to be dragged on, quite honestly. As I talked to the town manager today, let's just hash it out and get to work. It really doesn't even have to wait until the collaborative meeting, but that would be good so we can all hear each other's concerns. I've been elected for 9 months now, and I really haven't sat down with each one of you to see what's important to you in this town as what's important to us as elected officials. So I look forward to that meeting. And again, it's no disrespect to the committee that was put in place, and let's just try to keep the line of communication open. I have a direct line with the town manager, which helps me as a leader of my tribe to be able to call another leader of the municipality. So it was no disrespect to go over anybody's head. It's just a direct line of communication that helps us. So with that being said.
He's got my cell phone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone has your cell phone. So, do you want to close the public hearing or extend it to a date certain? And if there's a date certain, what is it?
Continue it to that.
Yeah, I'd like to continue it to, let's see, the date is May
Was it 14?
14,
16th.
16, May 16.
16th.
Take a motion, we continue the public hearing to May 16th.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Very good. Okay. 6:40, public hearing, 2022 seasonal alcoholic beverage and entertainment license renewal, discussion and approval of 2022 seasonal alcoholic beverage and entertainment license. Andy, you want to read the public hearing?
Pursuant to Chapter 138, Mass General Laws, the Board of Selectmen, acting as local licensing authority for the town of Mashpee, will conduct a public hearing on the 2022 seasonal alcoholic beverage and entertainment license renewal. Said hearing be held on Monday, March 21st, 2022, at 6:40 PM in the Coit Meeting Room of Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, Mashpee, Mass. 02649. Broadcast live on local cable channel 18, streamed live on the Town of Mashpee website, www.mashpeemass.gov. Channel 18. People can submit comments, questions via email to the Board of Selectmen, mashpeemass.gov, prior to the meeting date and time.
Okay, the following licenses have filed complete renewal applications. Package Store All Alcohol, Commons Convenience, and Mashpee Mart. You want to do them that way? Or do them all at once?
Just do them all.
Okay, do them all.
I think so.
Restaurant,
No
all
exceptions,
alcohol, Cook Seafood, Bob's Seafood Cafe, New Seabury Athletic Club and Pool, and the Raw Bar. Hotel and Innkeeper, Papaneset Inn, and Club Alcohol, The Lure. Morrison Marketplace LLC has chosen not to renew.
Is this all of them?
That's all of them.
Yeah, I thought we were missing a couple.
Feels short.
Yeah, it does.
Feels short.
Seem short. That's all you have, but I felt the same. But I don't know what's
Oh, wait a
missing.
minute.
No, that's it.
Cooks,
It does seem short.
Bob's
So
Seafood.
that is all of them, Karen.
Yeah, it is all of them. Okay, do I have a motion?
You can comment.
Oh, any discussion? Any comments from the audience?
Make a motion to close the hearing.
I'll
Second.
second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, now motion to renew.
Make a motion to renew as requested all licenses.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. Communication and correspondence. I received correspondence from the planning board in consideration of establishing a new open space committee, which we'll talk about and have the town manager set something up maybe.
This is a future agenda item?
Future agenda item. Okay, it's in your packet. Old business, review and approval of Comcast license renewal.
If I could, Madam Chair. Obviously, there have been two select board members on the group that has been tasked with negotiating this process. Initially, we did seek 75,000, I believe it was, and then ultimately they came back and offered 60. So the typo that is articulated in a memo should be $65,000 in reference to the payment schedule on page 27 of the contract. So again, I just want to repeat that. It's $65,000 on page 27 of the contract. With the exception of that change, I believe everything is intact. The committee, which you were a part of, has consulted with town council, and we feel that this is a
Good
good proposal, and I ask for the board's approval.
Yes, John and
Yeah.
I were both on that committee.
What does a town reasonably convenient to Mashpee mean?
Yep. I'm sorry?
What does a town reasonably convenient to Mashpee mean in terms of having a retail location?
Sam.
Cape Cod.
Because we started off, there used to be one here.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, that's no good, so you can go to Forestdale.
And that's done. My understanding is there will be one that will be at a different location in Falmouth, and there'll be one in Hyannis. So beyond that, I don't think you can expect anything. And there should be a memo regarding the PEG annual capital payments and also the franchise fee, all in a memo that was dated March 17th, that you should have received. I just want to point that out.
Okay.
I don't know if the board members that sat on the committee want to add anything.
No, I mean, I'm just glad we're finally here because we go back and forth.
It was a
back
long,
and- it was-
that's right.
So it was
And
a
we
lot.
compared it to other towns too. We didn't,
We compared to other towns of similar size, and some of the towns that had received a little bit more were larger than us. I believe one of them was Falmouth.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Falmouth is twice.
But in the end, we kind of felt that this was the best possible deal that we were going to receive. And the other thing is, there's only so much you can do within the parameters under the law that we have.
right.
Within those parameters, a component, your service sucks, isn't one of them.
We're also, I think we're one of the last towns to get it,
Yeah.
to be ratified too, so, because we were holding out, so.
We did hold out. Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve Comcast license renewal proposal.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, presentation on petition articles. Solar Overlay District. Nick Scred, Daniel Saber. Hi, Daniel.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I want to apologize for not being able to make it in person last time. I unfortunately had an emergency that I had to attend to. So you guys saw my presentation. I don't want to kind of rehash everything I've already told you. So what we did was we went ahead and watched the presentation that I gave and all the comments that came from you all afterwards. We put them in a letter that we did submit to the board, which you guys should all have. They're brief responses to all those questions. And additionally, we submitted a memorandum of understanding, which really spells out the financial proposition that we're offering the town and answers, I believe, a lot of those questions in great detail. So I can go through those questions in the letter that I provided, or I can just hand it back to you guys to ask individual questions as you see fit.
I didn't get the memo.
Not in your packet?
You didn't get this?
No.
It was sent out to.
I'm just- In
You're the one that
packet?
needed it most.
It's not in my packet. Anyway, I haven't seen it.
Okay. It was in our packet. Did you get it? This, yeah. Well, why don't you go over the
I-
questions? Go ahead.
Sure. So one of the questions that was asked is, what are current tax payments on these properties collectively? What is the actual value that NextGrid offers in comparison to what would happen on that property if it were never improved by the current property owners? It was also suggested that maybe there was a value of $900,000 on tax over that 20 years. Well, we took all the tax payments for the property, the main property and the surrounding properties that we're looking to buy. And the payments the town is getting annually right now today is $11,176. That would be $223,524 over 20 years. Even if we applied a pretty generous 5% annual increase, the total amount of taxes the town would get on the land currently is $388,065. Our offer to the town of Mashpee right now in the payment in lieu of taxes is $1,872,000. So that's $1,483,000 more than a best case scenario of a 5% increase on the current tax roll.
So
Anybody
just,
have a question?
the tax collector provided us with an analysis, to try to answer your question. And while, you know, it's not a big difference, his numbers list your annual payments at a little over 13,000, not the 11,000 you do, and gives us a inflated value, 2% a year, 346 as opposed to 223. So I'm not quite sure where. I guess I'm going to go with tax collector's numbers over yours.
Yeah, I just took the tax bills in PDF and I put them into an Excel. So
Current year?
it said 2022. They came in February.
Anyway, all right, his numbers are different, but anyway, doesn't change the point you're making.
So do you have any further questions?
Okay.
Okay, great. So one of the questions are, why are you paying property taxes if you will no longer own the land? What is the mechanism for that? And that's a payment in lieu of taxes or pilot agreement. If there's any questions on that, I can elaborate, but I think you guys are familiar with pilots. One of the questions was, is this your best offer or is this just a first offer? So we presented an offer that we think is fair and acceptable. This deal that we propose is really similar to a deal that we came to with the town of Bourne. That deal was vetted over months. They hired outside counsel, and we worked with them for quite some time to come up with an agreement that we based the memorandum of understanding we provided you on. So this isn't, we're just willy-nilly giving you an offer. This is something that we've worked very, very hard on with a similar town on the Cape, and so we're building off of that with you guys. This isn't just, you know, we're taking this very seriously, and that's where the offer comes from.
When was the Bourne deal?
You want to know
When was the Bourne deal?
The Bourne accepted it at their last town meeting, the fall town meeting.
So nothing's changed in pricing or anything? I mean, basically what I hear you saying is Bourne took it so you can take it.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that the mechanism that we're offering to pay you is well vetted, and I think it was insinuated last time that this wasn't a serious offer and we hadn't thought about it very well, but we thought about it very, very well, and that's the offer that we're bringing you. So
it's your offer. My question was, is this the starting point or the end point? And what you're telling us is it's the end point.
This is our offer.
Because this is the terms you negotiate with the town of Bourne.
Right, this is what it's based on. These are the financial numbers we're offering you. The warrant article is for a zone change. These terms will need to be accepted at a subsequent town meeting because it's a financial deal lasting more than 3 years. So you are obviously entitled to negotiate this deal. And
But once you get your zoning, if we don't pass the deal, what do you care?
well, for a few reasons. We're offering to purchase the land and give it to the town. We still need to do that. The SMART program more or less makes it so this project's only going to work if it's a municipal project, so you guys need to be our partners in this, and if you guys decide not to be our partners in this, we have to take a walk. So this is the first step, not the last step.
So everything's negotiable but the money.
No, the money.
I mean, if we're a
This
partner,
is our Yeah.
if we're a partner in this and you come in with an offer and say, we're not budging on the offer, but we need to negotiate the terms of that offer, you're just telling us, this is the offer and we take it or leave it.
So I've never said that this is the final offer. I said this is our offer. This offer is not going to lower from our side, and you can take this offer or you can negotiate it down the road. We're not saying the money's going to stay the same, but we think we're offering guaranteed money on a per megawatt basis that's very fair and very good for the town.
So,
You can come back and negotiate this deal before the next town meeting when we'll need to get this deal accepted.
The end result is we still have to come to an agreement with the
Right.
town and them.
but I guess what I'm trying to get at is it a formality to come to an agreement? We give them what they want so they can proceed on terms that are favorable to them, or do we have an opportunity to pursue the interests of the people of town or not? And I'm getting kind of a sort of.
And I feel as though, the leverage is our support of the project. And if you put this off, and to Andrew's point, it's past the zoning changes or past the town meeting, then you kind of lose some of that leverage. You disagree?
Well, maybe I haven't put it forward, how much leverage you guys have in this situation, because of the classification some of this land has, with the Massachusetts SMART program. We need this to be a municipal project. There is no project without your support and your help. We're gonna need the zone change first for the most obvious reasons, because this isn't a project if it doesn't have proper zoning. And then second, we're gonna need to enter this agreement with the town, and you guys will be our partners in this development. You guys will ultimately own the land.
So,
And this
That
will act
need-
as a
that-
municipal project,
That need creates the leverage.
big time, yeah.
Correct.
so a better way to have done this, since it failed last October, we had from October to now to have had the opportunity to discuss financial terms and conditions along with that. So you could have had, instead of just 5 zoning articles, you could have also had an acceptance of deal article that could have done it all as a bundle instead of coming in piecemeal. I feel like I'm getting piecemealed. First time I hear about this is in a remote meeting 2 weeks before we're executing a warrant.
Yeah.
And I don't consider that a start to a good faith partnership conversation.
We were advised that we couldn't enter into this agreement before the zoning was changed, or the agreement
Advised
would
by
be
whom?
council,
Yours?
ours.
Did you talk to our council about it? I mean, we could have, anyway, there's entering into an agreement and there's coming to an understanding in a way that, shows a little bit of good faith on the other side. If you guys had obstacles, it would have been nice to have had a conversation about that before the first week in March, with a mid-March deadline. It's like, it felt like before, like it feels like now, which is you're coming in late, dangling some shiny objects in front of people at town meeting, before it goes to town meeting. It all sounds great, and you're putting us in a one hand behind our back posture that gives you the zoning, gives anyone the zoning. It doesn't have to be you. So you go away, we don't have a deal, someone else comes in and takes advantage of it whose financials is different, who doesn't rely on the SMART program, and we're left high and dry. So I just think it's a lousy way to have started the process.
It seems like, the cart before the horse scenario once again, with,
Lynn?
a proven, Lynn, where's that cotton horse? Going into, asking for the zoning change prior to the negotiation just does not set well from this side of the table.
I don't know, I think it's a tricky situation. I mean, I deal with real estate all the time, and it's an uncomfortable situation, I think, on both ends. But the end result is, they need us. I mean, the final straw is our final agreement. Otherwise, their deal is dead. So even if we change the zoning, if we don't come to an agreement, the next step, the deal is over.
But somebody else can come in and stand in their stead and potentially do a different project, because they've got, the zoning doesn't apply to them. The zoning applies to everybody in that, who might own, have a property owner interest in that particular property. So they don't know, you know, they may have a bad business deal because they don't have an agreement with us, but it doesn't mean that it's not an open, you know, you have created that zoning and it's good for everybody.
At the same time, I don't think it's, so we're still on, we talked about tax benefits and what it means to the town, the increase in the town. I would like to have him explain a little bit more of the benefits to the town before we even talk about this, you know, the cart before the horse. So if you don't, Madam Chair, if you don't mind, I would love to hear more.
Sure.
Because we're still on page 1.
And this is for a zoning overlay district. It's not technically a zone change. The underlying zoning is going to remain the same, and this is going to be an added use to the zone district. And, you know, we think this is a good development type for this property, where half of it is a former sand pit. It doesn't have a lot of other development uses at the present time, and this is a low impact, low traffic development in a time where this neighborhood does not need particularly more traffic. We know the town needs money, and we think this is just a good use for the land, regardless of the deal we're offering you. And what you need to decide, I believe, is whether that's true or not. And, you know, we've given you a deal, which is our minimum offer that we think is fair. But aside from that, you know, we hope that you agree that this is a good use of this particular land. So I can keep going down the questions if you'd
Go
like.
ahead.
Please do.
Could you shrink the project down to only the property that is currently disturbed? So that would be the former sand pit area, which is, you know, roughly 55% of the property. Unfortunately, we're not going to get a land deal from the current owner, and he's not going to say, oh, you can only develop half of this, so I'm going to give you a big discount. So we'd have to be paying a lot more per developable acre. And then we'd also have to decrease the deal we're offering to the town. So it's not as easy as, can we just shrink it? We would, you know, it wouldn't be clear. It just wouldn't be as financially viable, if at all. So the next question is, what if you repurchase the property from the town in 20 years? So this is referencing the reversion clause. Are there any restrictions on what could be developed on the property? Are there any after-contract obligations or limitations? So the town of Mashpee has the opportunity for the next 20 years to change the underlying zoning or restrict that underlying zone to meet what the town's future visions and needs are. There are currently no after-contract obligations associated with this deal, aside from the decommissioning plan and bond, which are required under your current solar bylaw. So we'd be required to put a bond to remove all the panels on the site, but there's no current other restrictions to what can be done with that property after the solar panels are removed.
Who has the option? Is the option exclusively yours to buy it back?
That's correct. Yep.
So, if I might, so in the discussion about shrinking the project and also the buyback, part of your argument here is that, if I heard you right, that it's a difficult to develop parcel because of its current state. And yet, one of your arguments of why we ought to allow this to happen as opposed to other uses is you could have other uses there. So it's either difficult to develop and no one's going to want to develop it, or it isn't. So you kind of want to have it both ways here. And if this difficult to develop parcel is worth $2 million 20 years from now as a non-solar project, you obviously see value in what the redevelopment possibility is there. So, you know, it strikes me that you're trying to talk us down on the value because it's hard to develop, and yet you're reserving for yourself fairly high value at the back end of it because it's gotta be worth it to you somehow. Seems
So-
like it's both ways.
Half the property is a sand pit currently. It's, if you go take a look, it's a deep sand pit. That portion's gonna be hard to develop. The other portion might be easier to develop, and certainly the portions that are street facing could be valuable residential lots in the future. We believe the town of Mashpee's growing and thriving, and land's gonna continue to increase over time. So I don't think that's really what we're saying. We're saying that immediately, that portion of the property is gonna be hard to develop, which is why sand pits tend to be highest and best use for solar. And the other portions of the property might be better for residential development in the future.
So it's really not accurate to say you're giving us the property, you're letting us hold it for you as a mechanism to unlock the financial benefit of the SMART process, and then when you're done with that, you want to take the full value back, and then sell it for highest value. So you're not giving us the property.
So
we're a means to an end to access the subsidy through SMART.
We're giving you the property, we're paying you rent for the property we've bought you, and then we're buying it back. So you're winning
You're loaning us the
multiple
pro- You're loaning
times.
us the property.
Well, if we decide, we'll be quite a bit older by then, and if we do not take back that property, if the company is dissolved, we won't be able to take back that property, and that property will now be owned outright by the town of
So if the
Mashpee.
company's dissolved, who's going to be paying us the rent and the kickback on the electric generation?
So, right, this is a valuable contract owned by the Massachusetts, that's backed by the state of Massachusetts. We're not gonna make money developing the project anymore. We could dissolve the company and sell this project potentially to another company who will still be paying you on that current deal,
So
but
we
they
then
won't be
have-
able
So then we
to.
have no idea who we're dealing with. The likelihood then of you being the people we're dealing with for 20 years at the expiration of this as part of our partnership.
So you're still
is-
getting the money though, so what's,
Well, but if you're getting into a partnership with somebody and you're telling me you're likely to flip it,
I'm not saying that we're likely to flip it.
you brought it up.
I'm saying that there's a possibility, and you'll still be getting that money, and you'll still be left with this valuable property that will be yours if we don't exercise our exclusive
Why would you
reversion.
not, why would someone not exercise the right to do that if the property's worth so much?
Well, it's a exclusive contract for NextGrid. That's why I said if NextGrid maybe doesn't exist anymore, it'll just be the town's outright. It's not a
Is it an
transferable.
unassignable right to your successors?
No,
Okay. So you can decide who succeeds you, and you can assign your exclusive rights to them, and then we're dealing with whoever we're dealing with.
no, that's exactly not what I just said. I said it's the right of NextGrid and the property holding company NextGrid Patriots LLC to exercise that reversion clause.
And my question to you was, is your exclusive right to purchase it back transferable to a subsequent owner or
No, I'm
a
saying no.
successor?
No,
So it gets extinguished. If you sell it, the right to repurchase the property, that right is extinguished.
it's our right solely. So even if we sell it, we'd still have the right after 20 years, I suppose, to exercise that reversion.
And what if the company goes out of business?
And the reversion clause is gone, and it'll be yours to resell.
The other thing is, we do have the right to change the underlying zoning.
Right.
So after 20 years, we have full control again. And then anybody, for the usage of that property, we have full, with the zoning board would have full approval, the planning board would have full approval to consider any change in zoning. We can limit the zoning, so in 20 years, they have to come back to us before anything is done.
To Andrew's point, then, the ability to transfer, that you said that that's not what's allowed by this agreement. That's written into the agreement? That it cannot be, that right to repurchase is not transferable?
So I'll have to look at the exact language, but this is just for the reversion clause is what I'm talking about. And we can definitely make sure it says exactly that if that's not what it says specifically, but that's the intent.
Is there also some electric savings offered to the town. Can you
Yes, so
expand on that?
So we develop our projects with the Massachusetts Smart Programs Community Solar Benefit. That benefit allows towns or local residents to opt into that community solar benefit. It offers a discount of just under 2 cents a kilowatt hour, which in Massachusetts is usually about 15% of somebody's bill. The town could opt in and benefit from those savings, as could any resident.
Oh, so it's offered to the residents.
Yeah, so that would be its intention. So a big customer like the town could only utilize 49% of the total, and then 51% would be for small users, residents.
At the end of 20 years, what happens to all the solar panels and
Yeah.
everything that you built up on the property?
Yeah, so you guys have a solar bylaw currently, and that bylaw, which we'd have to operate under, makes us have a decommissioning plan and bond. So we would, at the time of permitting with the planning board, we would give them a decommissioning plan that shows how we'll take out and recycle all the panels. And then that will be bonded as well. So if for some reason something happened to the company, you guys would have that money set aside to do the decommissioning work.
So at the end of, if not before, but at the end of the 20 years, everything is removed from the site,
So it'll
and
be,
that's all covered?
yeah, it'll be after the 20-year contract with Eversource.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, I forget the numbers you said, the town can buy into the project or, and some restricted to the end user. Is there any way to restrict that to benefit low-income residents? As
So-
subsidies or some sort?
Yeah, so we do have a low-income program. We actually supply low-income credits through the community solar program to the whole city of Boston. And we are very open, very, very open. We need as many low-income customers as possible to opt in. We have a lot of credits to give, and we are always looking for municipal partners. Even if this project doesn't go through, we can assist your low-income residents with discounts on their power, aside from this project. So we would love to do that.
Good question, Dave.
Yeah, that is a good question. Okay, your next question was approval of the joint petition that's already in the work set aside for open space and would affect your plan for multiple reasons.
Yeah, so
I think the one.
the new bill that's being proposed, or the new town warrant article that's being proposed, would say for projects bigger than 7 acres, there'd be a 2-to-1 set aside for open space. I don't think the warrant article says a few things that we'd like to know the answers to before we can 100% answer this. One, we're proposing acres of essentially wooded buffer that's in the setback. So we don't know if that can be attributed towards this open space requirement. And we don't know if those open spaces would have to be contiguous. There's a few other questions that make a difference to how much ultimately we can develop on the land. But if we just say that it's going to be a straight 2-to-1, and then in the addition, it's saying a 300-foot setback from wetlands, I mean, it would be essentially 40% less that we think we can develop, so 60%. And we would just suggest, or I'm sorry, not suggest, we would just essentially reduce the benefit to the town by that exact percentage. Everything in the agreement, the memorandum of understanding we provided, is a per megawatt basis. And so it would just have to be reduced in kind.
So you could still do the project with the new,
Theoretically, so because of the 300-foot setback from wetlands that it proposes, you know, the sand pit is on the western side, and west of that is a stream. And so we'd be setting back 300 feet from that stream, which is half of the sand pit of the disturbed area. You know, we'd really like it if that warrant article said it's 300 feet from undisturbed, on an undisturbed area of the wetlands or something like that, that would make more sense to what the warrant article is trying to accomplish. Because then we're talking about setting aside just sand because it's 300 feet from a wetland that no one's going to want for permanent conservation. So then we're putting more than 2 to 1, making it undevelopable. So, if it does pass, we're hoping this is still a developable project, but we would really like some clarification and some thought given to what it's actually taking off the table for us.
So if that passed, this deal necessarily would not be the case. It would be lesser.
It's per megawatt, so
It
if we're saying we'd be able to develop 40% less, it would be 40%.
So it would lessen the benefit to the town
Right.
with tax increase, so.
There was one question that I posed last meeting that I don't see addressed. Has there been an environmental assessment done on the property?
So
To set a baseline, so if the town's going to assume ownership of the property, we need to know that we're not receiving contaminated lands currently. And to, have a baseline for if we go to sell it back, want to make sure that we're selling clean environment.
that hasn't been completed yet, but we can definitely make that a
Condition.
condition.
I assume you're gonna have an environmental done before you wire the land from the seller anyways, correct?
Yeah, so we have to do a phase 1 environmental assessment report always, and then if that turns up with, known contaminants or something like that, then we have to do a phase 2.
So
yeah.
they could disclose all those before we don't, I agree, Dave, we take ownership, but as long as the environmental is clear, free and clear, that's when, that's one of the obstacles for us to take ownership of the land. It's an easy requirement.
Tom, any questions?
I guess what it comes down to for me is bottom line. I'm looking at your last 2 pages, I believe, and you're looking to the total value to the town of $5,526,200. That being said, I'm guessing that the largest portion of that is the value of the land at the end of the deal. Would that be correct?
Well, it's 5 million roughly of total value, and 2 million of that's coming from
Right.
the reversion,
So
or you
it's-
guys having the ability to sell
Right.
that in the future.
So the income, I guess the value of the electricity is not where the money is for the town of Mashpee over a period of 20 years. It's
Payment in lieu of taxes, it's the lease that we're offering to pay, and then at the end,
So basically, what makes the deal look very valuable is because you transfer the lands into the town's possession. So that's how I see it, and then it's up to us to decide how that land's going to be used. Otherwise, it's the same deal as leaving it vacant.
Yes.
So it makes me think, the numbers are attractive to me. I like the fact that you do reach out to low-income individuals as far as providing electrical service. The land is sitting there not doing much, but I don't know if I'm thinking that there should be some more offsetting costs for the use of the land. But it's something I think I'd have to think about a little bit. I'm not opposed to it. I'd just like to see a little bit more coming to the town outside of the sale or the gift of the property to the town. But I have no problem with that. I just would like to take a little bit of time to look at that a little harder and maybe have a little discussion further on that possibility, so I understand it a little better.
So I can quickly say a couple things about that. The payment in lieu of taxes is reviewed at the state level, and there's a minimum that they'll say, this company's ripping off the town, or there's a maximum that they're saying the town is getting more than they should be able to get for this. So the payment in lieu of taxes it's finite. The rent, because we're giving you the property, the rent you can charge us is what you can play with. And so we can definitely talk more about that, and that's why I'm saying there can be additional negotiations.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Yeah.
Rodney?
I'm not saying that this applies to this gentleman or the company, but I do want to just caution the board. We had a similar deal at the transfer station, and when it transferred ownership, we were chasing the prior owner for money. And we were chasing it for 2 years, 3 years?
But, yeah, the assessor and the tax collector have consistently said they do not like payment in lieu of taxes, only because of it can be transferred to another owner, then we've got to hunt down the owner to get the payment
It's 2 or
back.
3 years.
Now, this, I'm not saying anything about this gentleman, but
yeah.
it's just, that's what
Understood.
they've told.
I've heard the stories myself.
So our pilot payments not, they don't take a lien position?
I guess what I'm emphasizing to the board is this information from the past, and I would really want legal counsel's opinion relative to drafting, in his words, an ironclad situation so that we're not going to be having to litigate and chasing some of this money down.
I do commercial closings all the time, and you don't close unless you have taxes are caught up and,
These aren't taxes.
huh?
These are not taxes.
In lieu of.
Lieu of tax.
In lieu of,
But I mean, but that's my question. Taxes, you can take a lien position and get in the way of a closing. Pilot payments, they're separate contractual, it becomes a enforcement of a contractual agreement between the parties that doesn't impede the transfer of property or a closing. So it just, it's different, so.
And I'm not maligning this poor gentleman. I know nothing about him or the company. I'm just saying that for the record and for the board's information, we did have a problem, an identified problem, with a similar situation over at the transfer station. And before we get into a similar situation, I would be remiss if I didn't make you aware of it.
well, I'm assuming we could also install a penalty.
Yep.
And just, we draw that up, and in that case,
Right.
we would revoke all the rights, and we already have their, and that would include the cleanup of the bond and removal. We put in the regulations in there, we draw it up, and it's a legal document, and then we're covered.
Have you ever insured your pilot payments?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
Have you ever bought a commercial insurance policy to insure your pilot payments?
I don't know the answer to that off my head, top of my head. I'm not sure. I don't necessarily handle the pilots after the permitting stage, but I can find that out for you guys. What I would say is if you put a clause in there, because like I said, these are valuable government-backed contracts. If there's something in there that said if the pilot payment is 1 year, 2 years overdue, the town has the ability to go put a lock on our emergency shut-off.
That's what I'm
Someone
saying.
will run to your door very, very quickly. Yeah.
So I'm saying, we put the teeth in there, and we're covered.
Right.
David,
I
any more
agree.
questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. John? Andrew?
And may I bring up just one more? There's a subsequent bill, a warrant article that does not have to do with this property in particular. It has to do with density. Essentially, right now, it says there's 25% coverage ratio on properties, on projects. And the warrant article says that for existing parking lots, covered solar canopies won't apply to the lot coverage ratio. That does not have to do with this parcel. There's no parking lot on this parcel. It's just, it's also in your package. I don't want it to get wrapped up in this if that's something you like and this other one you don't, or vice versa. So I just want to make sure you guys are taking the time to look at that as an individual warrant article, not associated with this project.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, Daniel.
Great.
Thanks so much.
One thing I don't see is, in the agreement, it does say, it references a reversionary period, but it doesn't clearly define the period. One can assume that it's referencing the 20-year life cycle and then not to exceed 30 years. but I don't see where that's clearly defined as the reversionary period.
Okay, I will get that answer for you, how long that period lasts after the solar's decommissioned. But I'm open to suggestions from the town as well. Is that,
Is that-
we good?
We good? Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you, Dan. Okay, tax cap discussion, Timothy Martin.
Oh, first sit down and give my name. Yeah, I'm Timothy Martin. I'm at 7 Russell Road, and I'm the petitioner for the Mashpee 10% tax cap for seniors. And you are thankfully allowing me back to have a little discourse with you. And the first thing I wanted to do is you presumably got in recently the assessors gave me a list of all properties within Mashpee that had received a tax increase, a valuation increase of over 50%. And I have been through that list now and have weeded out. And so now I have a clean list of those properties that do not have any improvements or new construction on them. So I can give you a clean list of, those, it's a better, so should I?
He has to talk at the mic, Madam Chair.
You have to talk in the mic. Just give the information to the girl,
Okay, sure. So
the secretary.
There's several copies here, and if you have
The girl.
excess, you can give them back. Oh, and on the top.
But we need you to be at the mic.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, yes. And at the top of that cover is just the text of what I'm going to say right now, just for you to review. So let me get my, it's an honor to be before you, but it's also terrifying. So,
Relax.
thank you. So there's two primary points I want to make for this presentation. One is that there's no limit on the degree to which property taxes can be raised in a year, and a remedy, I think, needs to be found for those most affected. And I'm thinking that the town, meaning the town government, is actually in the best position to determine a workable remedy with the consent of the voting populace. So that's point one, is I'm saying that I'm wanting to get you folks to buy in to this being a problem. And yeah, that's it. And number two is that there is significant evidence that human judgment is applied in creating the revaluations, and I'll show you some maps on that. And the reassessment process is not entirely objectively driven by laws and requirements. And considering the magnitude of the increases this past year, it's especially important that the town demonstrates that human judgments applied are without bias and appropriate. And I close with a comment on that. So, as I've said, several days ago, the assessor's office provided me with a list of properties which from 21 to 22 received a valuation increase of 50% and over. And so I've weeded out these properties, and I just want you to quickly, and it's very small print, but I will, but this is for your benefit to see which are the properties that have over 50%, considering all of Mashpee. And there's a couple of points I want to make about it. One is that there are 69 total residential properties here, and that 66 of those properties are on Monomoskoy Island. And and also one thing I wanted you to keep in your mind is this article does not at all address the tax hikes that we all have received this year. It's about the future. So we're not talking about relief for us now. We have been hit with that. I'm thinking about those who are in the future. And another comment is I note that former Assessor Strebel told our we have a Mashpee tax cap advocate group that we stood up, and he's a co-founder of this group. Joe Watson said that Strebel told him that we can expect a similar tax hike next year. I guess you can check in about that yourself and see what truth there might be in that. So we are asking that the town seek a remedy for those who will be most affected. So to better understand the assessment process, I produced for you the few maps that just show what happened in our area. So, you presumably have those maps before you? Okay. And so the assessor, for whatever reason, decided to divide all of the island into 3 areas, and one area received a 92.4% increase in valuation, and that was properties along the Little River. Those are the red asterisks, all abutted up, so it's just a string of properties. There's another area that is at the very end of Monomoskoye Island. It's only 5 properties at the end of the island that receive a 52% increase, and I'm sorry, I need to be clear, this is increase in land valuations. And in my mind, it actually is kind of sensible that when there is valuation increase in land like waterfront, that it be expressed as an increase in land valuation. And I don't know, I don't want to try to parse that out for you, I guess, but maybe it makes sense to you. So I'm not saying I disagree with bumping up land valuation. But what I am wanting to say, well, and then finish, and then 69.8% of the remaining water is what is assigned as a land valuation increase to the remaining properties on Monomoskoye. So that's what the assessor did. And so let me return to my narrative here so this makes some sense. So I'm just wanting to comment that these large sections of fixed increases in land valuation are surely human defined. And considering the magnitude of the increases and the number of affected properties, we think it's important that the town, in fact, I'll just, at the end, I have a comment on that. I just want to make this brief and not too long. So I had gone through a little analysis of, wanted to be careful and note that, like this last year, the tax rate actually went down because evidently, I think, presumably, these increased valuations, raised the town receipts enough that with Proposition 2.5 kicking in that, you needed to lower the tax rate. So I went through a little calculation to see on Monomoskoye anyway, if you consider the fact that, so it turns out that that the number of properties on Monomoskoye that had over 40% increase was 87. But when you look at actual taxes, the tax rate went down. Only then it was 46 properties. So that just shows you that yes, the tax rate went down. But it turns out that these 46 waterfront properties, which had the greatest increase in their actual taxes, are not the rich property owners that you might be thinking. In fact, none of those properties with have the largest homes are from this group of 46, and that's because the revaluation was implemented primarily as an increase in land valuation. So those with large homes saw this as an increase that was much smaller percentage of their total. So it was entirely the small homeowner on the waterfront that was most affected. And in this group of 46 properties that exceeded a 40% actual tax increase, 13 of them are empty lots. And of course, you would expect those to increase greatly because, golly, it's entirely the land valuations, its influence. But 32 of these pieces of property had homes on them. And their average, their 2022 buildings valuation, that's after the tax hike, their valuation of buildings averaged at $157,000. Not at all big homes. So I just want you then now to refer to, I have my original insert to you. I had a list of these. I decided to take the top 9 homes with the greatest increase and just to look at them individually, and I'm not going to go over that in great detail except that you can see before you how much of an increase in tax, it ranges from, their taxes went up by 54.6% up to 66.5%. That's actual tax increase after the lowering of the tax rate. And you can see their building valuations there. And I did also send to you guys, but maybe it wasn't printed out, the individual property cards. And you might be interested in looking at them individually. They are very modest homes, and these are the ones that were most affected. And let me see where I am now in my narrative that I'm trying to pare down quickly. So let's talk about the 10% tax cap. What I mean by that, I just want to be clear, is that this is an incremental 10% each year that we had proposed. And then each year, the property tax for the affected owner would be allowed to grow an additional 10% from the previous year. And so I did some computations with a 10% cap and at a fixed 9.0 tax rate, if you assume that. And I did a 42.8% increase in valuation that it would take 3 years of gradually increasing payments before that property returned to paying their full assessment.
Doesn't that assume that the property's value stays static?
Yeah, right. I
But it
had to
doesn't.
assume something.
But it doesn't, so you never catch up.
Well, certainly in this time, yeah, sometimes the property taxes and valuations have gone down. You guys came out of that in 2009, and certainly I think we can.
But the actual tax debt didn't really go down. It gets reapportioned, but when
Yeah,
values
no.
go up, when value goes up, the tax rate goes down. When values go down, the tax rate goes up.
Right, and let me address this as being this answer. I know you guys are smarter at this than I am. I totally get that. And what I want you to do is realize that this is a serious problem and find something that's legal
Which this
and
is.
that is appropriate.
Which this
That's
isn't, right?
What?
Which this is not.
I
right?
agree, and I'm going to make that statement here. I agree. This is what we're hearing from town council, and our council, is trying to figure out, is there a way through this?
So why walk through the minutia of a process that we can't implement? If the point is.
I'm wanting to go through the minutia because I want you to see it is a real problem.
But to put out a scenario that sets people's expectations that somehow there's a 10% cap on the offing and we just won't do it when it's been told by our council that it's illegal, doesn't shed light on the issue. All it does is set up a bunch of expectations that actually frustrate your objective, which is to have us talk about what the options might be.
Rodney wants to speak.
Yeah, if I could, Madam Chair, and I don't mean to interrupt, and I know you have more to say, and that's
A
up
little
to the
more.
chair. Yeah, I just want the board, as well as the public, to hear the following summary from town council. And I quote, "This article proposes a local taxation measure that is preempted by and inconsistent with state law, and thus beyond the legislative authority of the town meeting. The legal standards and criteria for property tax classification, valuation, assessment, and exemption with respect to local real property taxes are established by general law and DOR regulation. The Commissioner of Revenue supervises the implementation of property classification. After the Commissioner has determined that a town's assessed values represent full and fair cash value. The standard mandated by General Law, Chapter 59, Section 2A and 38, the assessor classifies all real property according to its use. The Select Board is then permitted to determine within its discretion, in the limits calculated by the Commissioner, what percentage of the tax burden is to be borne by each property class. Tax exemptions are permitted only as expressly allowed pursuant to General Law, Chapter 59, Section 5C, 5C and a half. Cities and towns do not, I repeat, do not have the legal authority to impose local limits or restrictions on real estate taxes unless expressly authorized by general law, close quote. He is telling me that this is null and void, it's invalid, it does not pass legal muster.
Madam Chair, So, Mr. Martin, listen, just so you know, I hope you understand that this is a concern, and I think you bringing it to our attention, that's the most important thing I think that was accomplished here. And just so you know, for my opinion, that was truly accomplished. So it's a concern. When you look at this, it is alarming. We're made aware of it. What we can do to remedy the situation, we can't approve your warrant article, which you understand that. But again, I truly appreciate you bringing this to our attention. So that's all I have to say.
Good, okay, thank you. Yeah, my remaining comments here are, like, I can pick it up at saying, perhaps it is true that the town, perhaps it is true, as the town council has said, that our article is currently illegal. But it's my goal today to encourage the town to take this problem seriously and seek a remedy that is legal. Now, he doesn't seem to allow much room there, but you know, there are things in language like you use the word exemptions there. I mean, maybe it can't be an exemption. You know, all I'm saying is other people know this better than I do, and I'm just trying to get some sympathy to get someone to just take it seriously and think about.
That's my sympathy.
Is
That's
there a
free.
way? No, well, right, and it's a cost.
Yeah.
It's a cost, it's a commitment on your part to look at it and say, by golly, is there something that we can do? I'm asking, like, is the town dependent on huge spikes in tax valuation in some areas of Mashpee in order to survive? Clearly, it will not break the budget to distribute a huge tax spike over a few years for those most affected. Let me finally say this, I guess, there's one thing I did want to accomplish today, and that is this. See if it's possible. Finally, I request that the Select Board makes a motion and votes today to ask the Assessor's Office to provide a transparent analysis of the recent tax hikes on Monomoskoye Island. The recent sales of a very few properties, very few, resulted in huge valuation increases over a large area. And it's not sufficient or appropriate to ask all of these property owners that are affected to seek individual appraisals to try to prove their point. This is a large area, that's the only recourse. We've had numerous, we put in lots of abatement requests. So far, all of them have been rejected. And are we all supposed to do individual appraisals? What is 50, 60 properties? It seems ridiculous. Seems to me that we should go back and just ask for, at least demonstrate to us that what was done was appropriate. And so I'm just asking for a motion on that and a vote just to get some kind of response. I mean, I could try to typify for you what we have been hearing from the assessor as far as support, and I think it's pretty weak in my estimation, and I think under the circumstances, this many people, this large of a rise, why not ask for, maybe you'll learn a little bit more about the assessment process? Seems to me that would be a good idea, and so I just want to encourage you to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Great job, thank you.
Discussion and action on draft number 3, May 2nd, 2022, special and annual town meeting warrant. We all have revised warrant. with
New one that's on the desk, right?
Yeah. That was on your desk in front. Okay. And Terry also gave us a list. Okay, special Article 1, page 1. We had a hold to see if the town will vote to appropriate, transfer the sum. Did we get a sum of money for that article?
Did you want to say
Yeah,
something?
no, I just wanted to let you know that we have not received that, so it's probably just a motion made at town meeting.
Town meeting floor.
I don't know, we don't know the ice.
You have to,
snow.
can you get away with a blank, or do you have to say a sum of money or something?
I think it's just a sum of money is all we have to do, and then we'll have it by the time town meeting's there, so you can put that in and then vote on town meeting, at the, meeting before town
And
meeting.
I'm just wondering, my only concern is you're not giving people notice what the upside is.
Yeah, I don't have that
So-
at this point.
I know, but just worried about the structure of the article.
No, I know, it's 190, it's at 199 now, but I don't know what it'll be.
You know what? What if
Would
we,
not exceed?
what if we just do, can we just pick a high number, knowing we're gonna come down? I'm just afraid, you can always go down, you can't go up. If you don't have a number, you can't go up from
I
zero.
understand.
And you
So-
said it's at 199?
What would
I
be the
think that's
number
what
to
it's
not
at,
to
is
exceed?
it?
Pick-
I think the snow's over.
Yeah,
Technically, yeah.
yeah.
So how about this? What if I'd make a motion, we vote to amend this article, say a sum, transfer sum not to exceed $300,000,
We're fine.
Yeah, then that's good.
and then you can come down, and you'll be a
Agree.
hero.
Right.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then we support it, I'm
That's,
sorry.
and
So I'll make a
support.
second motion that we support it.
Second.
All in favor to support? Tom?
Yes. Aye.
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 Okay. Article 20, page 9. Another, a sum of money not to exceed. Appropriation and preparation of design and engineering to estimated total cost for the wastewater collection, pumping, discharge, and treatment facility required to implement Phase 2, Sections A through E of the Mashpee Clean Water Plan, or take any other action related thereto.
Hold on, Madam Chair.
Page 9.
20, page 9.
Page 9,
Okay.
Article 20.
Yes. Madam Chair, I would, in terms of Article 20, I would recommend that this be put on hold and pulled from the warrant. I think it's fair to say at this juncture, there are issues that cannot be thoroughly reviewed legally or in terms of engineering and provide sufficient notice and adequate information to the public for consumption and understanding prior to town meeting, which is obviously just over 1 month away. So as much as we all want to advocate and as much as we all support clean water, for sure, I think it is appropriate at this particular time to hit pause until we are absolutely certain that we're ready to go, and I don't feel that I can say that we are ready to go at this juncture.
Okay.
Can I
do
speak to that,
have a
Carl?
motion? Sure.
So I'll preface my comment by saying we going to support the manager's recommendation. But I will say this, that hopefully this board, in agreeing to remove this today, will also agree to take this back up in October. I think that this is not a walk away from a phase two. It's a recognition of the fact that the town issued a RFP that provided enough room to create confusion in the responses. It was our complete intent, I believe, mine, I believe the sewer commission, I believe we've talked about it at this board, to have pursued an appropriation for 25% design, to follow the same process we followed in phase one, in which we had a 25% design that gave us a cost estimate to construct that we were then able to make a separate decision on to proceed. And there appears to be, some confusion about that. Typified, town engineer recommended to the manager that we appropriate $8 million roughly for 100% design. And that was not ever what we talked about. No one, all our collective conversations about this project has been 25, assess, go to a full design cost. And the fact that we got a recommendation to go to 100% design at an $8 million and change cost was sufficient to make even me hit the pause button.
But both proposals included 100%.
They did, and the fact that we're here, it just reflects the lack of clarity and precision in the RFP process. So this should not be taken as a step away from a commitment to this.
It's just a pause.
But we need to get our own internal act together and use the next couple of months to
Reassess.
well, not reassess, but just get it right.
Oh, I do
And
want
so, I think, we need to, take pause at this point, but do it in October. And I want to just give everybody notice that, I know October is typically for non-monetary articles, but, if we put this off till next spring, we're putting it off 2 years, not one, in reality. And so we need to move and do it again in the spring, or in the fall of this year.
Madam Chair, yeah, I mean, I agree, it's just, we were in the same situation with phase one. We weren't ready, there was so many questions, and right now, we all could sit here and we could all go around the table, we're all confused. Not sure what exactly the right answer, just timing is not right. So it's a very easy thing for me to just say, right now, we're not ready.
Brakes, slow down a little bit here.
Just, let's get more facts and get more details and continue down that road.
But it's going to be a short pause, not a long pause.
Has there been any conversation with those that submitted proposals? Is the assumption that 25% designs would cost 25% of what, 8 million? So 2 million?
Doesn't quite work that way.
Doesn't work that way?
No.
All right.
So can I have a motion to pull?
I'll make a motion to remove Article 20 from the warrant.
Second,
All in favor?
aye.
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 Thank you. Okay, Article 14, page 24. To see if the town will vote to raise, borrow, or transfer from available funds and appropriate the sum of, to provide for road implement projects under Chapter 90, or take any other action related thereto.
And this is another one, we do not have that number in place yet,
Do we have an estimate?
not that I'm
No, because
aware
it
of.
comes under.
Do we know what our last
It
year's
comes
Chapter
from the
90, what was
state.
our last year's Chapter 90?
Was,
What was last year's Chapter 90?
six, yeah, I thought it was 600, yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion, we amend this to a sum of 750,000
Okay.
and to
Not to
support it,
exceed.
not to exceed 750.
Okay, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yes,
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Article 23, page 28. I think is a petition article. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's satisfactory. That's
yeah,
all. I
that's-
can't speak in terms of whether it'll be definitely postponed, but
So can we make a motion to not support? Because we agreed that to put a time limit on,
Well, you can make a motion not make no recommendation.
No
Yeah, we can make,
recommendation.
we can
okay,
make
okay.
no
I'd like to
recommendation.
make a recommendation to,
Make no
Article
recommendation.
20.
make no recommendation.
Yeah, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Yes. Thank you. Article 25, page 30.
24.
24.
I'm sorry, Article,
Bottom of page 28.
thank you. Okay, what do we want to do with this one? This is the selectmen to acquire by purchase, gift, or eminent. We can do the same with this, right? No recommendation?
So is this specifically for the,
This is Trout Pond.
Trout Pond.
oh,
and
okay.
I can't speak for the petition.
We can make no recommendation.
Yeah, I'd like to make a recommendation to.
No recommendation.
No recommendation,
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Nay?
Davy? No?
Yes.
Okay. Article 25, page 30.
Is that 4-1 on that vote?
Yes.
You did
Yes,
vote?
4-1.
Yeah.
This one's also a petition article.
I'd also like to make a recommendation of no recommendation.
All in favor?
Is this a no recommendation, or is this to wait until,
No recommendation.
okay, because we talked about potentially waiting until we had a conversation with the,
Until we
Tribal
meet with
council.
the,
The tribe.
until we meet, so,
we
but,
could just say we could make a recommendation at town meeting.
well, I think no recommendation leaves
The
it up
meet-
to the,
Your meeting's gonna be after.
It's
Oh,
after.
it's
After town
after.
meeting?
Okay, yeah,
and we're still,
We
we're
tried.
we're not saying yes or no, we're just leaving it up to the town.
Right.
okay.
So that's,
Yeah, we did try to get a
Tried
meeting
four-
earlier.
four or
We
five
were given
meetings.
2 dates. One was the actual day of town meeting, and the other one was Patriots' Day, so we ended up with May 16th.
Did town attorney speak to
Yes, I
Andrew's issue at all? Was there any conversation with Pat to see if it would affect the intergovernmental?
There was
IGA?
not conversation with town council relative to that issue.
Pat did, Article 25.
However,
Advisory.
he did comment.
Comment on the article.
So in his comment, he said, "This is an advisory directory article establishing town meeting sentiment on the issue. It has no binding effect, nor would it mandate any further action by the select board if passed. The select board maintains the authority to establish rules and procedures for its meetings, subject to applicable provisions of law and bylaw." So town council generally makes a comment relative to these petition articles. That's what this was a general comment. I did not speak to him, and that's what I was referring to when you asked the question.
And, we have our joint meeting
Which is right after.
right after,
town
because this is just an advisory. Okay, so Article 25,
So you have a motion. You haven't voted.
I made a motion.
Of no recommendation?
I have no recommendation.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Tom, second. All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Nay.
And
And
I'm
you,
no.
and you, Carol?
No.
No. So,
The noes have it.
you got no
Doesn't
recommendation?
Yes was to
You
make
didn't
no
have,
recommendation. So
Right.
nay was to make a recommendation.
Right, so it didn't,
so we have to have another
So we're
motion.
taking a
Okay.
vote.
gotta
Oh,
have-
I'm sorry. Okay.
so it
You gotta have
didn't,
another motion.
So we need another
no
motion.
recommendation didn't pass.
Okay.
Right.
So make another, someone want to make another motion?
Motion to support, what's the article number? 26,
25.
25 as proposed?
Okay, so I have a motion to support. Do I have a second?
David, would you take an amendment to your motion?
Sure, yes.
Recommend that we support with an explanation that for this to have actual meaning, we have to have an actual conversation about what comes from it, other than just making what can become a routine, rote, empty statement,
Right.
so that people realize there's more to this than the gesture.
Wouldn't that mean having a meaningful conversation with the, meeting with the tribe?
With
So
the-
it would.
But that's gonna happen after the town meeting, so that's
I think-
why I motioned to,
I understand that.
Doesn't
I mean, I
make
think
any
that
sense.
it would be nice to have been able to
meetings
have.
after. So
I agree.
But I think people need to understand that if they adopt it, which they most likely will, regardless of the position that we take, that doing something like this has implications in order for it to have meaning.
Right,
And so,
I know.
if you want to vote for it, that's fine, but it's going to lead to more of a conversation. And so, anyway, it's awkward.
Stuff, I know, originally when we talked about this, probably a month and a half ago, we were talking about having a meeting,
Right.
but that's not gonna happen before the town meeting. So it just,
I think, I think to Andrew's point, it's gonna confuse things.
I know.
it will, I totally,
It's
that's,
gonna generate a lot of questions.
So
Oh, it
you can,
is. No
you
question.
can not second my amendment to your motion, or if you object to it, I'll withdraw it, David.
No, I'm
Now, what was
I don't know
your,
what he said.
objecting, I'm not
what was
objecting.
your,
but I
what was
would-
your motion?
Mine was to recommend its passage with an acknowledgement that future conversations are gonna have to happen to assign some meaning.
More meaning.
To the recognition
I agree.
announcement.
I like that.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
I,
I don't either, but getting up and just saying something without it leading to anything is an empty gesture.
That's true.
just why recommending something that's just submitted by a petition article about something that's so important,
Right.
I think that's a mistake too.
I think if we're scratching our heads as to what that means, I think that all the
Well, Dave-
people at that meeting are really gonna be scratching.
That's what I'm saying.
That's the other point, right.
I think we're all in agreement that it's just,
So
I wish that it wasn't an article on. I
it
wish
wasn't,
was
it should be,
something that we
if
could
it's something,
sit down and
I think
discuss
we're open to
ourselves.
discussing it, but I don't, as council stated, it's something that can be adopted by the
The board.
select board itself. We don't need town meeting to do that,
Or not.
Right.
or not. So,
Or not.
it's not even binding if the town meeting, if it's approved or not approved. So that's, I think we're all in agreement to talk about it, but we can do that as a select board anyways.
So I'd be willing to withdraw my motion, which subsequently
Which
will
was?
withdraw the amendment, and ask to reconsider the first vote that you made to
Not recommend.
not take a position, and just to gauge the town residents'
There you
idea
go.
and let them.
That's-
Just for that reason
And that's
alone.
exactly
Good
it,
point.
just,
Let them chime in that way.
Yes.
That's good.
We're gonna
Because
have the
we're
meeting,
gonna have
we're gonna
to-
have the meeting anyway.
So
Right.
you're withdrawing your motion, I'll withdraw my second. Amendment to your non-existent motion.
Okay. So now we're going to go back to no position.
So I'll
So Dave, you
re-propose
making that a
my,
motion?
David's, yeah,
David's motion. I'll second David's motion.
Make a motion to take no
No,
no position
No
on
position.
this.
Second.
all in favor?
Yes.
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 Good one. That was good, though.
That was the most
what we can
confusing
do.
motion I've ever seen.
You did. Article 26, page 30. It's also a petition to see if the town will vote to instruct the select board to address growing burden of property tax in the town's low and moderate income property owners. This action should be complete in ample time to report to the citizens prior to the next public hearing on towns. We're already doing this.
I make a motion to support because we're doing it.
We're
We don't
already
need to
doing
be
it.
told to do this. We're
Yeah.
already doing it through the
Yeah.
discussion of the residential.
We already,
Well, yeah,
I know, it was kind of silly to, because we're already.
So we're already
this.
doing it, so I don't want to take an oppositional
No.
approach to doing something that we're already doing.
yeah, there's nothing
Make it
else
look like
binding
it's
in
getting
here,
forced
right?
I
on
know.
us.
That we didn't already
We're already committed to doing it.
provide money to.
Okay, so,
I'll make it, so that's motion to support the article.
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Article 29.
Yes.
The zoning article for the next few, 29, 30.
This is solar, right?
Yeah, but he said there was one in here that didn't,
Didn't have the, it's the
that
fifth of
belonged
the
to
one.
him, right.
You know what?
Why don't we take no position?
Well, I'd like to have the benefit of hearing what the planning board's public hearing recommendation is, so could we make a motion to make a recommendation at town meeting?
How about at the meeting before the meeting?
At the meeting before the meeting. We've done that before.
Yep.
And then that way we'll hear what the planning board has to say about it.
Good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
So,
For me.
so all the,
That's your motion.
so articles, well, they're all zoning.
Yes.
All right, so if one's good for one, it's good for all of them then.
So Article 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, and 35.
Would be a recommendation at town meeting.
We'll make the, we publish in this, we'll make a
At town meeting.
recommendation
At
at
town meeting.
town meeting.
It's 29 too.
And 29, I'm
right.
sorry, 29, 30, yeah.
We'll make a recommendation.
Well,
At town meeting.
At town meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Do you need a vote on that?
Yes,
That's your motion, that's your
that's a
second?
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Okay. If I can find my... Execution of May 2nd, 2022 special and annual town meeting warrants.
Make a motion, we execute the May 2nd, 2022 special and annual town meeting warrants as amended tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, discussion and possible action in regard to debt exclusion ballot question for May 7th.
No.
Move, we don't need it.
No,
Good point.
Move point.
okay.
See you in the fall.
Discussion and approval of May 7th, 2022 annual town election warrant.
I make a motion, we.
You had two of these,
Right.
just so you
We
know.
execute the May 7th annual, 2022 annual town election with the one non-binding question.
Question. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Additional liaison reports.
Actually, small one, actually, this probably goes for, as far as communication, we will need a representative for joint base representing the fire department to replace Chief Rulo.
Oh,
That's a governor's appointment.
Nope, not that one. There's another one.
Okay.
The one,
Not MC3?
I don't know if it's called MC3.
I should check, because those have been problematic.
It's the one me and Tom are on, that it basically, we just need the new assigned representative. That's the one I mentioned
Liaison
earlier.
report from you?
No, that's it for me.
Tom? Liaison?
Good.
David?
Then stay.
I have one, the EDIC in conjunction with the Chamber and Mass Fire is doing a job fair at the library, March 29th, 1 to 4. Now we need our town manager updates. Updates?
I don't have anything, Madam Chair. The only thing I had was the meeting on the 16th, which we've already discussed.
Okay.
Is that time been set for that?
I'm sorry?
Is there time set for that?
We
6:30?
were presuming 6:30.
Okay.
Yeah. And it is open to the public and they
At
are
tribal headquarters?
Tribal headquarters.
Yes.
Just maybe, when we post the public hearing
Confirm that.
for the shellfish regs, we'd like put in big bold letters that
Yep.
it's not here.
Madam Chair, just one other thing. Just, I'd like to congratulate and thank Mr. Rulo for, I know he's still here, I think, until
The 16th.
the 6th. Yeah, so, but thank you for his service to the town of Mashpee, and congratulate Jack for the new appointment as a chief. So thank you both.
What's the effective date of Jack's?
April 22nd, I believe.
I think you're right.
April 22nd. I'm pretty sure.
I think it's the 22nd. Yeah.
My bet is it's April 22nd. That's,
Anything else?
let me just check, yeah.
Second springtime bet you're involved in.
Yeah,
I thought she signed it.
pretty sure it's the 22nd.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, that is correct.
So moved. Second.
All in favor
Writing
to
it.
adjourn?
Aye.
Aye.
As always, right?
Thank you, everybody.